What's up, fellow lords of gaming, and welcome back to another episode of Marvel Future Revolution. Today, I want to talk about a topic that I've kind of been holding off for just because I've been waiting for the Marvel Future Revolution devs to give us some kind of actual 100% firm, solid release date for Magik, or to at least some kind of gameplay video or some expectation of update details and so forth like that. But we haven't, so I've decided I'm just going to release this and do this video anyways. Basically, some of the things I want to talk to you guys about, some of the pros and cons. This is not a good, bad, and ugly video because I can't do a good, bad, and the ugly video without actual information. That'd be just disingenuous to give my perspective on something and not have all of the information. No, still nothing. Okay. So what I'm looking at basically is the pros of Magik being released. I see that us getting a new character is something that's needed, right? We need a new character, 100%. There's no way around it. It's a toon collector game that feels more like an MMO because you feel locked into a character, especially in this game. Like, I've never played an MMO where changing characters feels so daunting in such a way. If I'm being 100% honest, and that's just the simple God's honest truth. There's no lie in that. If you were talking about, expecting Magik to be released and that you were going to switch over to her and she was going to be 100% usable for you across all content, yeah, you let me know how that's working out for you. You let me know where your head's at on that one and how that actually works out when she gets released. What I mean by that is that Magik is going to basically they insinuate that the idea for Magik being released into the game is that she's going to bring some new mechanics with her, which is good. Characters should bring new mechanics with them to the game. That's ultimately what's going to make players want to play the game more because we have a diversity of characters. Like if they would have brought back in, let's say they would have brought back in a war machine or a war machine or a I don't know, like another even Scarlet Witch, for instance, right? We'd probably all be staring down at the barrel of that and being like, okay, it's just pretty much the same as playing Iron Man, or it's pretty much the same as playing Doctor Strange. So you don't necessarily energize the base in any kind of great way with that. You know what I mean? So it's one of those types of things, right? So bringing her into the game could be very beneficial in terms of bringing renewed life into the game, especially because we know that in order to level this character up, we're going to have to play from, the beginning of that story mission to the end of the story mission that some of us have already done 8 times, right? It's a very boring, repetitive thing. I tried to show it to you guys on stream and, by leveling up Star-Lord, and it's boring. It is absolutely boring. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You play through it once, maybe you enjoy it for the story content. You play it twice, there is no ifs, ands, or buts. It's the same exact story. So like they haven't get most MMOs, that's why they have an alternative mode for you to level up a character by not following the story, meaning you can just go out and grind levels for the story, right? That's how it is. But this game doesn't reward you any kind of experience in leveling up. This is not an MMO. I'm going to keep saying that it is not an MMO. I'm actually going to start pushing MMO content here soon for games like Black Desert and stuff like that. And this is not an MMO. So when we talk about that stuff, right, and we go, she's going to bring new playstyles, summons, teleportation, and transformation, and that should at the very least bring some kind of energy to, playing the game because you're seeing something different visually. I remember one time we were in chat and I think it was like Half Sin said, you can train a 5-year-old to essentially play this game. It's basically put the game on autoplay and every 5 minutes or so, just make sure they hit okay. So that way it goes on to the next mission. And to be truthful with you, I don't know how to tell you guys this and put it to you. Like I'm going to do a setup reveal here in this month, probably the Saturday, the 18th is probably when I'm going to do a reveal here for my whole setup and everything like that at my desk. And that is legitimately how you can play this game. Like, you could legitimately play this game where you put it on autoplay, allow it to sync up and do things, and literally just allow it to go. I legitimately play the game that way. In truth, you can, especially once you hit certain power rankings, you can pretty much autoplay everything. Like, anything and everything in this game can almost be autoplayed. It's kind of, it's funny in that regard. So Magik basically coming to the game will give at least a different visualization of the character. Oh, cool. At least a visualization of the character. Now, the thing I'm more excited about, other than Magik coming to the game, is the fact that Magik is most likely going to bring with her new story content, right? Meaning that we already have the dark domain inside here. We're most likely going to be able to get Magik. We're most likely going to get the Dark Domain Part 2, because we know it was Part 1 story. I'm going to autoplay this mission just so that way you guys can see. Right now, the other good thing that she's going to do is, because we know we have to level that character from 0 to 100 in the story mode, and from 100 to 110 in the Dark Domain, she's probably going to give us a way for us to actually take what do you call it? She's probably going to give us a way for us to increase our squad rank and increase our squad power. Squad power more, because she's going to give us access to some of the, she's going to give us access to some of those, Tim particle blueprints and Tony, all of those items necessary for squad rank, right? So that'll be good, right? Now, one of the things that players are going to need to be aware of is, most likely she is going to cost crystals, so players will need to actually somehow obtain 400 crystals. That's not a lot, because that's what we've been playing for. Like, if you have all 8 characters, you basically paid the 400 crystals to unlock any new characters. So you're gonna need that, basically, right? You're ultimately gonna need that. So it's good in that regard. See, I just autoplayed the shit out of it, didn't do anything. But you're going to probably need 400 crystals. I can't imagine a place where they actually say to us that, we have to do this basically by like deleting a character that we already have. I don't see that. So these are the good things about her coming to the game, right? Now, my biggest question, not a con or any kind of way, is how the character will affect the state of the game. Will she be balanced? Most signs point to no, she's not going to be balanced. And I'm taking that basically by looking at the current state of the game and the current characters in the game, and then looking at, what is possible to come, because we're still waiting. The biggest thing that we're waiting for is balance in the game, meaning, balance between 4 of the, you're basically looking at least 3 of the characters in the game are not as useful as, 4 other characters are in the game. That's basically how it's looking. Now, not every character is always going to be meta. Not every character should always be in the top, but the way they have content in this game, every character should be at least competitively serviceable, meaning that I don't want to be locked out from using certain characters inside the game, because then the character just doesn't stand a chance at the game. It's something that MMOs always fight in order to make sure they're always looking at constant updates to make sure that, invasion comes. Every character should be competitive in there. It shouldn't just be where you're seeing across the board one specific type of character sitting at the top of the leaderboards simply because that character is bar of none better than another character. You know what I mean? So my signs point to no, she's not going to be balanced. Now, if you've watched any of Godslave's videos and you've seen him inside the chat talking, he is 100% convinced we are going to get an OP Magik. I don't know why he believes that, but he believes that. Now, I side with him in that thought, mostly because if we don't get a very powerful Magik, then this could, deja vu, then it could turn off a lot of players, because we don't get a powerful Magik, she doesn't feel right, and now players don't have a reason to play her. If she is too powerful, though, then in my opinion, players will get, especially a pool of players. There's going to be a pool of players, mostly play-to-play players and free-to-play players are going to feel disenfranchised, because then you're looking down the barrel at every new character that gets released is going to have that stage of power creep. And in terms of keeping up with that power creep, you're basically looking at your wallet, and you're looking at months and months of not being able to keep up with that power creep. I'm going to explain that. So then the question becomes, if she isn't powerful, and you're looking at a player like Godslave, for instance, who wants to feel powerful, but he's going to be, she's not powerful, so he doesn't have another place to invest in, meaning that not a new character to wail out on or something like that. Will those characters get will those players get bent about the game and decide that they need other avenues in order to do that, especially if they don't add any new mechanics like they did with the companions for them to chase, right? So this also brings into question. So you can see how, like, if I'm a pay-to-play player in some respect, and I've been essentially investing as heavily as I have in one of the other characters, will those characters feel powerful? And will she overpower my character and just make it clear that it's time for me to switch from the character? Will she just automatically upend and be the #1 character in the slot for every sort of game mode? How is this game going to actually handle summons? You know what I mean? Like, in terms of your character being, having a summons, we've already seen some of those summons activities with characters like Loki, who I'd have thought would have been a far better introduction into the story if you were specifically looking at summons, because it's really easy to ignore summons in this game. They can say that we're doing summons, but let's be honest with you, Iron Man has a summons. Let's be 100% Iron Man has a summons. Doctor Strange has a summons. We've seen Loki in game do summons. So it's not like the summons are that unique. It's not like they're adding that much to the game. I hate to be honest with you guys about that, but that's just the fucking truth. So summons is not there at that much. Teleportation, the newest thing is probably going to be teleportation, although some of us feel like we're dealing with that shit already with a character like Black Widow. But it's going to be interesting to do that. So outside of the play-to-play players and the whales and their feelings, we're going to be looking at at new players in the game, right? Because that's one of the things that the game is always going to have to deal with, is new player acquisition. Our players who are not currently playing, Marvel Future Revolution, or players who have left Marvel Future Revolution, going to be enticed to come back to the game or pick up the game for the first time? Will she draw in new players? My anticipation is that she's a good enough looking character model that she could draw in new players, right? 100%. I don't know. I think that you would probably get a short-term boost of players who previously played the game to come back in, because they would just want to see and check out the character. Whether or not the game can retain those characters for daily play is a whole entire different thing. Now, one of the cons about this, the character introduction, as she's going to be far more accessible to whales than she is free-to-play players or pay-to-play players. And what I mean by that is, when you're basically looking at this game overall, the problem with leveling up characters in here is resources, resources, resources. They are lacking for a great many players, specifically specialization and potential. They're going to be two of the biggest drawbacks, because even whales are gate capped on being able to obtain specialization items, in terms of filling out those trees, which add a lot to a character in terms of passivity stats and stuff like that, right? The potential, you're basically looking down the barrel, like, if you really want your Magik to be competitive within the next 2 to 3 months, meaning it's going to take you probably 2 months for that character to feel powerful, then you're looking at possibly having to dig into your wallet to pay to see that character's potential increase, because they always offer you the potential and the costumes along the way when you're playing the story. So that's one of the things they're going to have to do. The second is that brings you to regional gear and special cards to transfer. Do you have them, right? And even if you have them, transferring them over doesn't necessitate that those cards will be good for Magik. Like, re-rolling an exclusive stat for Magik is one thing, but like, when you take a look at a character like Doctor Strange, who doesn't have access to certain stats and on his gear or on his special cards the way other characters do have, well, you can see the imbalance that they created by doing something as silly as that, right? So it's going to be one of those questions. So the stats might not align, and then you're going to be looking at, do you have the gold? Like, do you really have the gold to transmute all that gear and re-roll those exclusive stats, or will they just institute a way for you to actually do that stuff without having much problem, so that way there's not a hindrance, meaning that you actually get to select the exclusive stat that you want. I would prefer to see this in the update in December, because the transmutation was a good idea in theory, but it wasn't a good idea in implementation, especially when you look at the fact that by adding new characters for the transmutation, you increase the RNG chance of you being able to get the stat, the exclusive stat, and the character that you want. Because it's not like it's giving you a selector and saying, hey, transmute this item and it will go to, and I can select to go to Doctor Strange, so that way I'm then just rolling from Doctor Strange's exclusive stats. No, you're rolling from all 7 other characters. So now you're going to add another character that you can roll into the bunch, which is going to make it even more nauseating. So it's like the game was comfortable with this RNG thing that we're all not comfortable with in the first place. So in that regard, it might end up starting to become easier to just roll for new cards and gear, or just start a whole new account in order to level up these characters, if I'm being perfectly honest. So those are my thoughts on Magik. I'm hoping at some point this week that we get some gameplay reveal, that we get some update details. You know, I don't expect like, you know, in-depth update details or whatever, but at the very least some gameplay reveal, so that way we can see some of the skills and things like that. This is one of the things that has me most nervous about the game, is the fact that we haven't seen any gameplay for the character. To my knowledge, the content creator core didn't get a early APK or anything like that to show the character in play, you know, or to test out the skills. So they're doing their own quality assessment, and from what we've seen with chilling with Danny Koo, I'm not the biggest confidence in their dev team understanding what they actually are trying to implement in this game. The implementation in this game is probably the worst point. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Hope you enjoyed this video. I had to collect my daily rewards and stuff like that before I get over here to work, so I really thought it was a good time to bring the video. I'm looking forward to bringing you guys content in the next few months as I finish completing my streaming setup here for Lost Ark, Destiny, Black Desert, Warframe, and Marvel's Avengers, Elden Ring, and Final Fantasy 14. Let me know which of those games you guys are playing, or are you guys only dedicated to mobile gaming platforms? I'm hoping that I can find some time to actually, you know, bring you guys content from Marvel Contest of Champions, and even some Isekai Slime, and yeah, so we'll see. All right, guys, until next time, peace. Wow.